Random Zone. Who the hell else is here tonight?
Arlen Haro.
Hunter Downport coming you live to tell you that Kendrick Lamar is the Soul Stone. You can't convince me otherwise.
And it's what's left of Erik Fedorchik's physical form after turning 40.
Rip. We're starting with Black Lightning, right?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Hey, what happened on Black Lightning?
They found the lightning guns, and then some guy blew up.
Yeah.
Lightning guns.
Here's like, I don't remember it either. I watched it right after Legends, which might not have been the best idea. Because I found that when you watch them all together, they do blend together sometimes. And Legends was a really interesting, weird episode this week. Black Lightning was just like more of the plot, more moving the plot forward. The most interesting thing is that the younger daughter's powers showed up. That's it, really. I can't think of anything else other than
Gamby
Jefferson
revealing all that shit at the end.
Yeah, that was like the real like moment of the episode.
Yeah.
Really, that sort of made the episode important, I guess. And it's pretty well done, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's I can never remember his name, but that actor's fucking great in this episode, and he does a really good job. Both of them, the whole cast does a really good job this episode. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this episode. It's a very there's not much there to really discuss.
Well, and Black Lightning is never really bad, but Black Lightning is kind of like it's okay, but when it's okay, it's just kind of like, all right, we're gonna do some things here and do some things here, and we're not really gonna make any major movements. So have fun.
Oh, okay. Well, we should talk about the Lala stuff because the Lala stuff was weird as fuck.
Yes.
So Lala is seeing visions of LaWanda, and LaWanda is now the conscious. I don't know if you'd call it a conscience. The darker side of his already fucked up head. Telling him what to do.
It's like she's the id. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Yeah.
And then at the end, he has a makeout session in the shower with the ghost of a woman that he killed, who's not really a ghost.
Yeah. And then he starts crying. It looks like
it's really weird.
Strange thing.
Yeah, they went very deep into the just strangeness.
I like how now the show is like, hey, guess what? This is Twin Peaks for a few minutes.
It is.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
I mean, it's cool. I think. I think it's cool.
It works.
No, I love it. I think it's a great show. It's just it's not the last episode, but the one prior to that, it definitely felt like it was kind of spinning its wheels a little bit, but it was still moving a plot forward. So it's very good at doing that. Like where it's like, okay, nothing's really happening, but there's still some plot development, and it's not ever bad. Like it's just a different quality of good.
We're in another episode that's a lot of setup. It's a lot of setup for things that are about to come. Definitely, and I'm interested to see how things play out. But again, like Black Lightning is very hard to talk about. So I guess unless somebody has any things that they noticed that we haven't talked about yet, we can move on. I guess I don't know. This will be the shortest Black Lightning that we've ever talked about. So
it's good. I guess I really don't have any big.
I think what's the thing with Black Lightning is that Black Lightning doesn't have the time wasters that the rest of the show have. Black Lightning's not going to take an episode to give Lynn superpowers.
It feels like more mature in a lot of ways too. Like it just seems like.
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
It's not like Flash is kind of just like all jokey, kind of like, this is kind of goofy.
Think about the tropes that they immediately assassinated from other CW shows that just aren't present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
There's no mystery villain. There's no long drawn out reveal.
Well,
there's no what are they planning?
The closest thing to a mystery villain is the ASA thing that they've set up.
Yeah,
but that's more like I don't think that's the same.
But there's no masked boogeyman who's like, I wonder who that is.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're really focusing on the origin of Black Lightning and like who Jefferson is, and who all these characters are. Like they're putting a lot of focus into knowing this world and knowing the rules of this world, in a very like persistent way, which is the thing I have to give them the most credit for. Because a lot of shows they would just hide that. And wait for like individual episodes to reveal that kind of stuff, but they're like slowly doling out information, which is nice.
Well, I also feel like they're saving their time to show us who the big villain is going to be, or at least one of the bigger groups. Because I mean, we've got the SA, but I'm also wondering who what's her face, the one who got turned into a chew toy last week.
Who she works for?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is there someone that there's an entity above Tobias that he was worried about if it was known that he killed? I can't remember her name. Lady Eve.
Yeah, I can't. Lady something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, I'm thinking they're going to end up showing up and being like the bigger bad that we're not waiting or not expecting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, nobody's really thinking about that right now.
And that's fine. Like it's because it's fine because it's working the way it is, and they're kind of building up to it. And like we're not getting a Dr. Alchemy or a Damien Dark drawn out reveal or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And that's just the thing I like about the show in general, is that it is, like you said, it is bucking a lot of what we expect from these shows, and it's going for a different format, which I still think is them testing the waters, I think. Because I have a strong feeling that The Flash is going to be more like this in the future, possibly.
Oh, it fucking better be, because I've got some things to say.
Honestly, I'd say the same for all of them. Like,
yeah,
they should all move more towards this format where it's one long story and it's less Monster of the Week. And Legends is sort of like in the middle. But it's still like there's a thing that we have to deal with this week, and will we get out of it or will we not? But they've been sort of avoiding that on some weeks. Like this, I mean, this is a perfect segue into Legends if we want to go into it. But this week, they didn't do the Monster of the Week, really. They had a problem this week, but Damien didn't show up at the end and be like, I'm twisting my mustache.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that Legends is maybe moving more towards it.
Yeah. When Legends does a distraction, it's usually a distraction that's like a side effect or a branch off from the central plot.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas when like Flash does distraction, it's like, oh no, Shade. Oh, okay, there goes Shade.
Yeah.
Or Nuclear Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll do they'll do that 2-part episode about bird people, which was.
Oh my god, I forgot about that one.
You shouldn't. Yeah, no, like they'll do weird stuff like that, which is, even if it fails, like the bird people, it's always at least
that
interesting.
failed?
It failed because they did it for 2 episodes.
And this week was like, they're catering to Hunter exclusively at this point. Cause
they are. They're just making things for me now, I guess.
This was like an episode of like, it felt like something from an old like anthology show about like maybe like kind of lighthearted sci-fi horror stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Elvis Presley has a guitar, but it's haunted by his dead twin brother.
Yeah. It was weird. It was real weird.
It's really weird. It's full of very bizarre but pleasing comedy.
Yeah.
Like, there are scenes in this episode that are solely devoted and dragged out to Mick eulogizing his dead rat.
Like,
which then comes back to life, which he then has a conversation with after it is a ghost.
Mick.
They gave it a rest in peace at the end.
The whole episode, he's just growling. Where's the mayo?
Pretty much.
The Elvis sandwich. Yeah. Deep fried bread and bananas and bacon. Yeah. Mick was pretty great actually. I don't know. It was so everything about this episode was strange.
I love him. It took me a second to catch up on the fact that like if Elvis never becomes a star he is, like certain things would just fade away. Like they go up and like Nate's hair is just different. They're like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "What do you mean? What did I do? Oh my god, what happened to my hair?"
He's wearing a hat the rest of the episode.
The Josh Groban bit kind of got me real.
Josh Groban.
Josh Groban.
This is kind of like the George Lucas episode where it's kind of hokey, but it's Legends has kind of established itself as this weird blender of pop culture appreciation mixed with superhero antics.
Yeah, and you have stuff like the preacher uncle, which is he was so cheesy, he was so campy. But I kind of liked him. Like
I'm gonna show you the hymns. Oh,
he reminded me of like I think Bill Burr has a stand-up bit where he talks about sports movies involving racial conflicts.
Oh yeah,
and it's always the one character who's like, "Get them out of the pool!" Like he's just there to be like just to stir the pot for no fucking reason. It's like, why are you like this? But I like this. This episode's about Elvis Presley having a fucking guitar that's possessed. He raises the dead with his music.
He raises the ghost of his twin brother Jesse,
who's fully clothed.
Also,
yeah,
he appears to have human intelligence, like full-grown intelligence. Are we meant to assume that as a ghost he's been like following Elvis this entire time and like
he's maturing as a ghost?
I think so.
And he knows English. Like,
yes.
It's so ridiculous. But I don't know. Legends has to do a lot in order for me to be like, that was fucking terrible. And this episode was just the right level of like goofy to fun. And I like that they were like, let's make Zari and Wally sort of form a friendship. Because they're both the new kids, so that's have them form sort of a bond, which I enjoyed.
I really like Wally's new attitude of like he never stops smiling.
Yeah.
He's the happiest person to be on that team.
He's just always just like, oh god, I'm so excited to be here. He's kind of like their Spider-Man in a way.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
In so many ways. And again, like, Zari's thing is, like, she's a little bit acidic towards just about everyone, even after...
She's sassy.
Yeah, even after her best episode so far. And I think that the pairing of the two of them is very sweet and sour chicken, in a way.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed that quite
a bit. Well, because Zari is abrasive, and like I said, Wally has this very plucky, like, kind of unflappable attitude now, and she
loves Miss Pac-Man.
She's like, "Hey, can you not do that? That's annoying." He's like, "Hey, cool."
Well, there it is again.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, fucking it. God damn it.
Well, it's because it's two ghosts fighting in somebody's headphones.
And then it's really lame. So it's yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna make that concept cool one day.
Here's the thing: I can't wait, but until then, it's really dumb.
Can you imagine like it's like there's one shot of like two ghosts engaging in like a hardcore supernatural battle of like whatever fucking ghost magic?
I
can.
Back
to like two people and they're looking in a room going, I can't see anything.
Just the chair just slightly nudges to the side.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that scene in Doctor Strange. Then.
Oh.
I mean,
wow.
I think that part's all right.
You just brought it all around.
Yep.
I don't think it's bad. I think that part's all right.
I really don't have a ton of issues with that movie, so whatever.
I have more issues.
Two ghosts fighting each other.
Yeah. Legends. I don't know. It was a fun episode. I don't really have much else to say. I think this is going to be one of the shortest CW movies we've ever done.
I think the most we have to say is going to come from Flash because...
Interesting.
One, because I guess let's just transition right into it. So, this was the episode everyone was worried about, and here's my hottest take. Wasn't even that bad.
No, it was fine.
It's not, but it's still, I did not like what they did.
I honestly, I had really no issues with this one either. Like, I think all 3 episodes were great this week. So it was just.
I didn't have any problems because here's the thing: the Iris thing, we were all dreading it, and actually wasn't even that heavy-handed.
At least it's not permanent.
Yeah,
well,
it's not permanent, and Iris wasn't like she didn't do a whole lot.
But
she wasn't a shrill harpy the whole time.
Also, she kind of got better as a character, maybe.
And here's the thing: she got fucking called out really hard by
Yep.
But like she's like, I'm the captain of this team, and Ralph's like, yeah, you do it by sitting behind that computer the whole time and yelling at everybody. You don't do a damn thing, and then he just walks away, and she has nothing to say.
But like, here's my thing: they still did it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt to me that they were just like, we're building towards it, and then they got to it, and then it's like, really, like,
and they course corrected really hard by the end of the episode, showing us that she is still a blogger, and that's what she's gonna do.
Yeah, and I hope that they lean into that too.
What is? I'm really glad that they're addressing that he doesn't go to work anymore. I'm really.
Honestly, and everyone was worried about this, but I think the biggest. Oh my god! What the hell?
Sorry.
The biggest stuff to chew
God
on.
damn it.
What the fuck?
What is going on?
It's the tall man, maybe.
All the major stuff is.
You record a good podcast, boy.
Oh god. The Harrison Wells stuff is the most interesting development I've seen.
Yeah, that's cool. Like,
this is
also,
very. This is leading up to something, and I'm not quite sure what it is. But the Thawne references are getting ridiculous.
Well, okay, so this one had a real, like, I get what that's saying. Like, his idea was he knows the events of season 1 fairly well. Like, he's heard the stories, basically. So he put together the pieces and he said, well, how did Barry, or what was Barry's plan to beat Thawne? Well, to become faster, because that's why Thawne would win. So he applied that to the Thinker. So I didn't think that was really hinting at anything. I think last week was hinting at things. Like hardcore. But this one felt like, okay, that's what Barry did to defeat Thawne, so that's what I should do for the Thinker. Only I can probably actually achieve that. Which I think that's actually a really smart plan, but I don't know how this is going to play out.
Okay, here's the thing. I think they did mention how Thawne would steal bodies, and they connected the fact that DeVoe also steals bodies.
Right.
That is a big thing to me.
I thought that he was going to suggest stealing DeVoe's body, and I was like, how?
That's also what I thought.
Like, really?
I mean, if it's a thing of like who can steal whose body first, and if Harry wins, I mean.
Also, what if this is building towards Matt Letcher Reverse Flash, who is somewhere in the Speed Force after something? It's one of the fucking remnants.
Right.
Who ends up jacking Harry's body, and that explains his appearance on Earth X.
Maybe. I think his thing was just like, I used the genetic sequence again. Or I think he even said that he did go to Earth X, and he stole the wells on that Earth's body. Because he knew it would mess with Barry. At least I remember him saying something like that. But I think that's a completely valid theory also, that could be upcoming. I really don't know, though. Like, it's weird where they are right now, because we haven't seen DeVoe in 2 episodes, and we don't know what's going on. Well, these would be good 2 episodes to tell us what his plan is, even, like, in cutaways. Like, there were episodes at the beginning of the season where he wasn't involved, but we saw him. They set him up. And something like that would be very helpful to us now, and understanding how the rest of the season is going to go, because I have no clue at this point still.
No, and by this time last year, it was just wild speculation about who the fuck, Savitar was.
Yeah.
But at this point, we don't know a damn thing about much. Like,
we know
shit about less about DeVoe than we did at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bad thing.
It's a really bad thing.
That's real bad.
Because we don't know the why of what he's doing. We don't really know the how. We don't know his goal. But we don't know anything.
Yeah.
And at least with Savitar, it's like, oh, it's a revenge mission. Like, you have a grudge. You have a very clearly established grudge. You know these people. You know them intimately. You possess, like, equal or greater power than our hero does. And you're pissed off about something. And you have goals that we knew of that were changed at the last second. And methods that were also changed at the last second. Calcified Speed Force. But with this, everything's been a loose end.
I just thought of something. What if his plan is to destroy the Speed Force?
Ooh.
But
because they set that up in the last episode as an idea, as a thing that you could do potentially. And I felt at the moment like, why would they even bring that up? Why would they even? Why would you even suggest that as an idea? And the moral quandary of whether Barry should do it or not, and even Barry had a good reason to want to do it. It was, if I do this, Thawne doesn't have the Speed Force anymore. So what if in his calculations, in his mind he says the world is better without speedsters, and what if that's his plan ultimately, to destroy speedsters altogether? And that's why he specifically wanted Barry out of the way, because only a speedster could stop him. Maybe.
That's not
maybe,
a bad theory.
But then why all the extra metas?
I don't know. I don't know how any of that plays together.
Also, here's the thing with the bus metas. Like, how would DeVoe have any idea of what kind of metas he would create by unleashing dark matter? Like, that's a really...
I know. Yeah.
It's super random.
The mathematical calculations of that are weird, but I just remembered something. One of the bus metas, what was his power? Nuclear radiation. He was a walking thermonuclear bomb. Maybe...
Oh, Nuclear Joe, the garbage driver.
Yeah, that was his...
You know the guy.
That guy with the nuclear radiation. Oh,
hey, I'm walking here.
Follow me.
So I'm thinking, what if he puts himself into two bodies and then one of them goes into the Speed Force and blows it up? Which
would be dumb.
It would be dumb, but here's the thing: it's not beyond the Flash Riders to do this.
No,
it's not beyond them at all to do this.
Yeah.
And we know that he can open the Speed Force. Also, he released Barry somehow. We don't know how. Oh, that's how. Barry goes into the Speed Force moments before the Speed Force is about to blow up. The Speed Force sends him back in time with those weird letters and those visions. The Barry that we know is like a time remnant.
That's stupid.
And he's just looking.
I hate it.
Oh. Okay, I think I might be right, which makes me more angry. This was just supposed to be a dumb theory.
No, guess what? It you know what it is? It's a dumb fact now.
I hope I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong. Because one, I think if that's even attempted, it's like, if he does it, the show's over. If he doesn't, then literally this entire season of like, I'm going to free Barry from the Speed Force and then make the black hole, the dark matter open up over here and give these 12 people powers. And I'm going to go through and steal these people's powers and I'm going to steal their bodies. And then I'm going to send Barry to prison. It's going to sound like the most overcomplicated, ridiculous plan. And then to just fucking fail would just...
But here's the thing. It explains the beginning of the season, which has not been explained yet. Let's point that out. There are 7 episodes left, I believe, in this whole season. 7 episodes. That works out to about 5 hours, all in all, if you compress it all, without commercials. They have 5 hours to put the rest of this show together, and for us to have a compelling villain, for them to answer why Barry was spouting off all that future stuff, why he was saying this house is bitching. All that stuff.
Bitching.
They have to explain all of that, plus DeVoe's plan, plus any of the other story arcs that they've left open, any of the other threads that they've left open, and they have to do that all in 5 hours. For us it's going to be like weeks, but still, they have to do all of that.
Going back to your theory about this Barry being a time remnant, I like the idea that the last episode is just the existential horror of everyone realizing the Barry they've been dealing with isn't real because he turns to dust in front of them, and then that leads to their future daughter turning to dust as well, and just I don't everyone being just aghast at the things that have been going on in their lives and questioning.
I don't know if it's a time remnant, but maybe it's more of a thing of like the Speed Force transfers his memory or something.
Oh, so it's a Swamp Thing type of idea going on here.
Maybe. I don't understand how it would work, but it would make sense if he goes into the Speed Force right before it's about to die, and because it's the Speed Force, it has the ability to send him back in time. I don't know how it all works. I don't know how any of this season is going to make sense at the end. And
it's not going to.
I'm forecasting the end of the season, we're going to think it's worse than season 3. By the end.
Probably.
Like,
I'm kind of already there because the thing with that, like, the problem is
at least Savitar had a tangible plan.
Well, see, the thing is, like, with Savitar, like, he ended up being really terrible, but like the build-up kind of had some really interesting stuff. Like,
it did.
The episode where Wally's trapped in the Speed Force is really good.
Yeah. And the last 3 episodes could have cleaned it up easily.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about it.
And I still think the episode, the finale of last year, is pretty fun to watch because the climactic action sequence is pretty nutty. Because it's Barry, Jay, and Jesse.
And Wally, I thought.
Is it what? I think so. Yeah, they're fucking quadruple teaming Savitar in the woods, and like Savitar is cutting down trees to try to stop them.
Yeah.
And it's a speedster bedlam. It's really fun to watch.
And Killer Frost is there for some reason.
Yeah, fucking Black Flash shows up. Killer Frost is there. Wally's there. Jay's there. Jesse's there.
Like, the whole team is there. I think that's the episode where Cisco has his Killer Frost fight, or maybe that's episodes before. That fight is really cool, kind of.
Yeah.
I think.
Kind of.
The Future Flash episode is kind of cool.
That episode's really good.
Even if Barry's hair is dumb as fuck.
It's so dumb. The dumbest thing is that he doesn't tell him what's about to happen. That's the dumbest thing. That he didn't tell us then that it's a time remnant. That was the dumbest part of the entire situation.
That's the fault of the writers. That's because they're just like, I'll never tell.
Yeah, and also it should have been Ronnie, as we've said on this show.
It should have been Ronnie.
Because
I don't know, like I have been saying that season 4 could play out worse than the last season because, just from outside of the lack of information we have, it's been rather uneventful.
Yeah. It's a lot like Arrow season 4. I don't know what I'll say again and again, till people understand that's a bad thing. That's not good. That's a very bad idea.
Have there been people disagreeing with you?
No, but I feel like there have been. I can feel them.
No, but I can feel the judgmental eyes on me.
I feel the people.
They walked over the graves.
Because here's the thing: I know that there are people who defend the second half of the season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that didn't have Ghost Rider. I know those people exist, so I have to assume that since they exist, and since there are Iron Fist defenders, that there must be defenders of the worst seasons of CW TV as well.
There are Iron Fist defenders.
Yeah, they exist. Those are real people.
Yeah.
I saved a thread that I saw earlier on Hunter's wall, and
You cannot reason with them.
Well, there are also people that think Cap is a boring character in the MCU.
Right.
So.
Oh no, it wasn't boring. It was useless.
White bread.
Useless.
He said,
"White
what? Bread."
Yeah, Cap is useless. The man who punched Ultron in the face and didn't have a problem with it.
Right.
The man who was on the ground during an alien invasion, took a shot to the stomach and kept going, is useless. The man who brought a helicopter down with his hands is useless. The guy who exposed and dismantled an infiltrated and corrupt shield is useless.
The man
guy
who fought Super Hitler during World War II is useless?
Yeah, that guy. He's useless. Mm-hmm. He's useless. He's
useless.
The guy who beat Iron Man with his hands is useless.
Yep.
The guy
who's holding back Thanos with 2 Infinity Stones in the gauntlet.
Useless.
Yep.
I can't. And that's the picture that spawned this entire comment. He was like, "Oh, well, he's useless," and like he is literally like stopping a punch from Space God. Okay.
He's essentially holding his own.
Yeah.
With a man who has infinite power
against a cosmic dick conqueror. Like, come on.
A cosmic dick bag.
A cosmic dick conqueror?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I was gonna say dictator, but he's not really a dictator. He's just more of a
he's a religious zealot, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing too with Thanos. I don't know if you guys had seen. There was a summary of what his reasoning is for doing what he's doing, and it's not the same as where he wants to court Mistress Death. No, that's not it at all in the Infinity War movie. Apparently, Titan had. I forget. There was some sort of terrible tragedy that befell all the people of Titan. He's the last member of his race, and he's trying to wipe out half the universe because that's the only way to keep things from going bad for everyone. So he thinks he's actually doing a good thing by killing
mad Titan.
People. I mean, I'm totally paraphrasing it, but yeah, it's out there if you look it up.
What if he's like? What if he's just like he just doesn't know?
I mean. It could be a mix of things because I feel like maybe they didn't know what they were doing, but I don't think you do that end credit scene with Thanos with what's his face saying fighting going there would be courting death. I don't think
that was just totally throwing a bone to the audience that knew what he was.
Yeah.
I don't like Thanos unless he's trying to fuck a skeleton, okay?
The problem is it was a bone to throw the audience. Like, Thanos looks back with fucking bedroom eyes as soon as that guy says that. So
yeah, well,
he's like, would be to court death. Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't know.
My Titan is mad.
Skeleton.
I feel like it is something, and also like the fact that one of the last 2 Marvel movies that came out before this one, Hela is a major part of that movie, and she is the goddess of death. And her life status is still indeterminate because, as we explained last week, no body, no death.
She's still alive.
So I could see her coming back as like a skeletal being, and like
Thanos is gonna try and fuck her.
Yep.
Good point.
Thanos is like, oh, dem bones.
Bring that bony ass over here, girl.
Okay, I think my reserve energy is depleted.
Connor's spawn timer is running out.
I think we're good. I mean, we talked about all of it, really. Like,
this is the 3rd podcast I've done in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I'm fucking fried.
It's time for us to return to the Phantom Zone.
Bum, bum, bum. All right.
Anyway, good night, everybody.
Night. Bye.
Fuck X-Men Apocalypse.
Fuck X-Men Apocalypse. Except that one Quicksilver scene is not that bad.
15.
If there's gonna be ghosts fighting each other, I want the ghost of Stone Cold Steve Austin fighting the ghost of the Ultimate Warrior, and that's gonna be bang slam rocker man.
What they get.
I've lost the plot of the novel.
Buy Lead Line DVDs.
I like how we both went on different roads there.
It was just a cacophony of impressions, and I don't feel like participating.
Number 15.